and welcome to the Christmas Confection Countdown. So, here's the game I've decided we're going to play this year because every year I get obsessed. While everybody else is watching their Hallmark movies and stuff, I am watching the countdowns on the Food Network, or they have some countdowns on a whole bunch of other channels too, just for desserts. And that is my favorite thing to do at this time of year. So I thought, I don't have any challengers, but I thought I would make a little advent calendar. And each of these little scrolls has a different dessert on it, and I'm just gonna bake them. So every single day for the next 12 days, I'm going to pull one of these scrolls out, and whatever is on it, we're gonna make. So today, we're gonna do day one on the calendar. In case anybody's curious, I got this from the Target dollar spot. It was $5. It's super cute. It was meant for wine bottles, but I put scrolls in it because, well, one, I don't really drink. And also 12 days of drinking mini wine, I would be asleep. We are going to see what I have on each of these here over the next 12 days, and hopefully we come up with some great stuff. I am pretty excited to play this game. I've been thinking about doing this idea for a long time. I just wasn't really sure how to do it, and then I saw this calendar and I was like, there, right there, that is how I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna write everything on a scroll, and there we go. So let's start playing this game here. Our day one, where are we at? Day one, right down here. So on day number one, we're going to pull this scroll here and see what we have for making for today's dessert. And we are going to do a chocolate cherry cordial pie. So this is a dessert I have made a few times in the past, and it always gets rave reviews. And pretty much what it is it's a chocolate silk pie, but I'm going to be adding cherry to it. And for this, normally I just get that Lorraine's cherry extract and stick that in there, but this year I'm actually going to do it with cherry juice and see how that turns out. But for the past couple of times that I have made it, it's tasted just like biting into one of those chocolate cherries you would buy in the store in like those little boxes at Christmas time. And it's been a fantastic dessert to have around for the holidays. So I'm pretty excited to start with this one. I did this at random. I put them all in a pile, I switched them all around, and then I rolled them and just stuck them in without actually looking at them. So although I might know what all of these are going to end up being at some point, because I know what's on the list, I do not know what order we are going in. So let's start with chocolate cherry cordial pie. And the first thing we're going to need for that is to get our pie dough. Okay, so now I'm set up to do my pie dough. We're going to do the pie dough first because not only do we have to let it rest in the fridge, we also have to blind bake it. Okay, so I'm going to put all of the actual measurements down in the description because this is more of just a see what I make as opposed to every single thing. Here we go. But for our basic pie dough throws a lot of people off. So if you don't feel like making your own pie dough, if you want to make the chocolate filling that I'm going to do, but you want to skip the hassle of pie dough, I personally think pie dough making is therapeutic. I enjoy it. You can buy a pie crust at the store. You can buy one ready-made or one of those rolls that you've put in your own pan. I'm going to make mine from scratch. So what I have here is my plain all-purpose flour, 2 egg yolks, some salt, some ice cold water, plain granulated sugar, and some butter I've had sitting in the freezer that has been cubed already. You want your butter, if you're going to make the pie dough, to be really cold, because if it's not cold, it'll start to melt while you're doing the next step, and you don't want that. So we're gonna start with mixing the butter into the flour. And all we're gonna do is very simple. We're just gonna put our cubed butter in. You can do this with a food processor if you have a food processor. I have a food processor, but I like to do it by hand. You're gonna crumb this up. And what you're looking for is like gravel size. You know, you wanna kind of get a little sandy gravel look to your butter flour mixture. All right, so now we got a good cornmeal crumb going on here. And this is exactly what we're looking for. Just butter has all been incorporated. Everything is looking nice and crumbly. I'm gonna step over and wash my hands real quick and we'll get on to the next step. All right, now I'm placing my flour off to the side. So for this part, what we're going to do is I chose to go with the ramekins for my measurements because we're gonna mix all this together and then pour this into our flour mixture. And then we're going to mix it up and get our good dough going. So we're going to pour in our sugar and our salt. And give that a little whisk. We're gonna get it dissolving. Add our egg yolks. Making a little bit of a mess. What else is new there? It's pretty much my baking style. All right, now I've got all that blended together. We're going to add it into our flour. And if you don't like your hands getting messy, use a fork, I guess, or a spatula. Don't use a whisk. I made that mistake once and it gets all clumped up and it's really hard to get out. I'm going to just straight use my hands because I've done this so often. Making a mess is not gonna bother me one bit. So I'm gonna pour my wet ingredients right in there, and I'm just with my hands gonna stir it around and get it incorporated. It'll come together. It seems like a soggy, wet mess right now. When we put it back in the fridge for its hour of rest time that's going to need, that butter is gonna firm up and we're gonna have a nice, beautiful dough to work with. And that time in the fridge, it's really key here. When your pie dough starts to fall apart, it's because that butter needed more time to set up and you're not working with it cold enough. Pie dough is a learning curve. A lot of people do have trouble with pie dough. This is a great activity to do with kids. They love to get their hands dirty. So, for your holiday dessert making, you can get your kids involved. Give them little pie shells. I have some mini pie pans that my 4-year-old loves to make her own pie. She does a bunch of custom. She'll go with the cookie cutters and make some shapes, and she just enjoys getting to do that. It's a lot of fun to include the kids in this. Okay, so I have my pie dough. This is what it should look like. It should be a nice ball. It's a little sticky, but not like stick to your hands like slime or something. And what we're going to do is we're going to put it in plastic wrap and stick it in the fridge. Okay, I gave myself a generous amount of plastic wrap. I'm just going to flatten this little guy out. All right, and now this is just gonna go in the fridge just like this for about an hour, and then we'll pull it out, we'll roll it, and we'll get it blind baked. All right, so we are ready to get started on our pie dough. This dough has sat in the fridge for an hour. It's nice and solidified. It's gonna be a little bit hard to roll out at first. We are not going to use this entire thing though. I made enough dough for 2 pies because I know later on in this challenge I have another thing that's going to utilize pie dough, so I made more so I don't have to make it again. But we are going to now take half this pie dough, roll it out. I like to use parchment paper because when you're rolling pie dough out, the biggest problem is flipping it and getting it on the, of course you can do the thing where you roll it up on the rolling pin. I wanna make it stress-free for myself. So I'm going with the parchment paper, and then I'll be able to flip it, roll the other side, put it in the pie dish. So let's go with rolling it. I'm gonna cut this in half and roll the dough we need, and then we'll blind bake it. Whew. Okay. Making pastry should be like a sport. Like maybe we should have like a pastry making workout plan because that gets the arms going. So I got this completely rolled out flat. And the nice thing about using the parchment paper is that I didn't need to add unnecessary flour. Adding the extra flour can add a lot of dryness to your dough, especially if you're really working it and you got to keep sprinkling the flour on there. It can also give you that flour taste in your final result. So I prefer to use the parchment paper for a lot of reasons. So what we're gonna do now is I'm gonna take my pie dish. I have just this plain, really pretty white pie dish. I think I got this at Hobby Lobby. But we are going to put our pie dough in here and then we are going to blind bake it. And all that means is we are going to add the dough, a piece of the parchment paper, and then we're gonna fill it with something. If you have pie weights, that's fantastic. I have pie weights, I'm gonna be using those today. You can use rice. I've seen people use beans. I've seen all kinds, pretty much anything that's not going to cook. Anything that's not going to cook in your pan because you don't want it to ruin what you've got going on here. So we are going to do that now. And then all the excess that I don't end up using is gonna go back for what my other dough in the fridge. Just put it back in there. I'm just gonna work my way around. And we have this beautiful golden color because we have that egg yolk in there. That dog back there is waiting for me to drop something. He knows I always do, and he's gonna get it. Except for raw pie dough, I will not let him get that. Gonna gently go around and put your dough in. You don't want to tear it. You don't want to stretch it too much because we don't want it thin. We worked really hard to get it nice and even here. And I would say this is probably about 1/8 of an inch. And now I'm going to put this in the oven and let it do its bake, and we are gonna start our filling. So we're over at the stove now. I'm going to start our filling for our chocolate pie. So this is going to be a chocolate cherry cordial pie. So a couple of things I needed to take in consideration when I was looking at my chocolate chiffon pie recipe was I want it to taste like biting into a chocolate cherry cordial. And you get that rich, deep chocolate. I prefer the dark chocolate ones. You get the rich dark chocolate on the outside, and then you get a little bit of that creamy vanilla flavor inside, and then you get that maraschino cherry. I'm assuming it's a maraschino cherry. Actually, now that I think about it, I probably should have retaste tested those, but I'm pretty sure it tastes just like a maraschino cherry, which is good because I am utilizing maraschino cherry juice for my cherry flavor. And at no point are we going to boil this. We do not want to thoroughly cook this through. We're just looking to melt our chocolate, and then we are going to add our sugar and our egg yolks. Now the important part is when we take it and add our egg yolks, we need to work quickly because we do not want to at any point cook those egg yolks. And I'm gonna turn this down real low. We go to do that. We don't want to scramble them, I should say. I'm gonna switch from the wooden spoon to a whisk when we get to that part. And that's gonna move real quick. We are gonna be whisking that as fast as possible to get them done so we don't scramble them. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I have a pot here with ice water in it, and I'm going to pour my mixture into this measuring cup, and I'm gonna chill it down. And the reason we're doing that is because in the next stage, we are going to be making some whipped egg whites, and we're going to be combining them. We do not want anything hot going near our egg whites, it will deflate it. So we are going to chill it in this water bath. Flavor. And I'm just gonna pop it right here in this ice bath. And I'm using the measuring cup because I don't want to risk my bowl sinking, which I've had happen on a couple of occasions where the bowl has just tipped a little too far and all of a sudden there's water in my cream. So I'm putting it in here because I know that the handle will kind of balance it out. I've had good luck doing it this way, so that's what I'm doing. But anything you have, any vessel you have to put it in works perfectly fine. Just get it into an ice bath and keep that water away from the rim. So we're gonna let this chill, and I'm gonna get my pie dough out right now, clean up my mess, and we will be back for filling the pie. Okay, now I do feel like I'm on one of those food challenges because this did not go as planned. So here's what happened. Because I let this chocolate sit for too long, the gelatin set up too much. I was getting chunks. Didn't like it. So I'm switching gears. This is why this is not a follow me recipe. This is, I'll put the ingredients down below. Don't make the same mistakes I did. It took a lot of work, but I got it smooth. I do not like the consistency. I mean, I do, it's fine. It would set up just fine. The thing is that I wanted this nice fluffy pie. So here is a lesson in how to make it better when things don't go right. What I'm going to do is switch gears a little bit. I took my immersion blender. I gave this a little bit of immersion blending. It's still got the egg whites in there. They're probably by this point extremely broken, but that's okay because the flavor of the chocolate is good. I like the flavor of the chocolate. What I want is the volume. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to whip up some heavy cream and I'm going to fold the heavy cream in there so I get my volume and I get my nice luxurious feel that I was hoping the egg whites were going to give me, but they're not. And I've made this pie before, so I don't really know what happened, but it's okay. We're gonna fix it. We are going to fold in the whipped cream and then we're gonna place it in our pie shell and then we're gonna chill it. Okay, so we are at the end of day 1 of our baking challenge and I have my pie out of the fridge and I made some stabilized whipped cream right here and I've got a little bit of chocolate and my zester. Now I could make curls. I prefer the shavings. I like the way that it shaves with the zester as opposed to like a cheese grater. I don't want big bits of chocolate on top. I just want a little dusting. And then I've also got these candied cherries that every year at the holidays I go to buy them and they're always sold out. And this year, as soon as I saw them hit the shelves, I'm like, nope, I need those. Those are gonna be home with me because I'm not gonna hunt for them this year. I think that this turned out better than it should have considering the issues I had with the meringue and the pudding being too stiff, which was my fault for adding more gelatin to compensate for the cherry juice. I should have just left well enough alone. I know for next time, and now you know for next time, don't go away from the formula as written. I will post the ingredients as they were meant to be in the description. Don't add the extra gelatin. The extra gelatin will not even be on there. So if you want to bake this at home and try it out, it should be a softer consistency. And maybe like right when it hits room temperature, whip it in. I waited because I was waiting for my kids to get ready for bed and I let it sit for too long. So it should still taste just fine though. We are going to take my ridiculously filled bag because I overfilled it. And I'm just going to pipe little stars. Now you can get as creative as you want with this. You can pipe different, like alternate dots and stars. You can do a couple of dots here and a couple of stars there. I am going kind of for a wreath. So I'm gonna go one more round and then I'll have a little hole in the center and that's gonna be my wreath. And then I'm going to kind of pop the cherries on, right? So I have my little hole right in the center. Get a little bigger so the hole is even. And I'm going to randomly pop some of this to make it higher. Okay, now for my chocolate here, I'm just going to do a little shaving of it. And I just want a dusting, kind of like we're going opposite with the snow. You know, you would do powdered sugar to do your nice little snow dusting, but this is a chocolate pie and we have a white wreath, so we're going to go with a chocolate dusting. And I'm gonna be very generous because I like that chocolate dusting. All right, chocolate cherry cordial pie, kind of decorated like a wreath. Candy cherry ornaments and a little dusting of dark chocolate on top. And now I'm gonna slice this and see if it is what I was hoping for, because you know we had those struggles, so there's a chance this could not go well. But that's the best part about this challenge. You never know what's gonna happen. That's what I wanted. I wanted something light and breezy and just go with it and see what happens. Much like on the Food Network, where they're always doing their challenge and sometimes it doesn't work out. Except I can't be sent home because, well, I'm standing in my own kitchen. So let's slice it and see what we got. Ooh, definitely looks like a chiffon pie. Oh, and that crust is nice and flaky, which is good. I'm just gonna take the tiniest little sliver out of here. Oop, and I broke my crust, but that's okay. I would definitely be sent home. Oh, I'm going home on this challenge. Day 1, I'm out. Let's do that. There we go. Yeah, it looks pretty. That's what they do on those challenges, right? They're just like, I'm just gonna tweak it and make it. Hopefully nobody notices. All right. It's holding together. It's got a little wiggle. I've got my stability, which is what I wanted in a chiffon pie, so that's all great. Let's give it a taste. Yep. So even though I screwed up the egg whites and I ended up just hitting them with an immersion blender out of like desperation to get them right, it still came out pretty good. I'm getting the cherry. Tastes like a cherry cordial. Exactly what I wanted. The only thing I would change is I would up that cherry. And I know I put in 3 ounces of cherry juice, the maraschino cherry juice. And this is a no bake, so it shouldn't have baked out at all. The cherry flavor is a little light. So I would probably next time maybe up it to like 5 ounces? 5 ounces, I don't know. I still wouldn't change the gelatin though, because as you can see, it's very jiggly, but it's delicious. So I'm pretty happy with this on day 1. So if you made it completely to the end of this video, thank you so much for hanging out and seeing how this ended up. I had so much fun doing this first challenge. I'm excited for challenge 2. And if you decide to make a pie like mine, chocolate cherry cordial pie, try it out yourself. Go on Instagram and tag me at the Busybug Homestead, and we'll do hashtag, I guess I probably should have thought of that ahead of time. We could do hashtag 12 days of Christmas Confection Countdown. And well, I'd love to see what you have. I'd love to see what you make. And if it's your first time finding my channel, thank you so much for stopping by. You picked a great time to do it because I'm just gonna be out on here for 12 straight days having a blast making dessert. But I really just love, my favorite thing about the holidays is watching those countdown shows that they have on the Food Network. And I like to sit there and go, oh, if I was doing this challenge, I would make this. And I thought, you know what? I have a channel. I'm just gonna do it. I'm just going to go on there and say, if I had this challenge, this is what I would make for the judges. Would I be sent home? Based on today's dessert, I don't know, it tastes really good. The crust didn't stay on, but I thought it was pretty good. So excited to see what we end up with tomorrow and what we got for the next 12 days. So thank you so much for stopping by, and we will see you tomorrow. Bye.